Ancient Greece, the birthplace of democracy and the Olympic Games. It has produced many famous philosophers, scientists, and poets, such as Socrates, Plato, Hippocrates, Aesop, and Homer. There's one thing that they all have in common. They're all men. Ancient Greece was a patriarchal society, a society in which men were in authority over women. Women were only allowed a primary education and could be married off at as young as 14 years old. They were unable to vote, own or inherit land, and were considered the property of the male head of the family or their husband. Their supposed purpose in life was to stay at home and raise the children. Men, however, were forced into the army at 18 and were not considered citizens until they had served 2 years there. Once considered a citizen, men could do all the things that women couldn't do. They could vote, were able to own and inherit land, and were able to compete in the Olympic Games, which women were not even allowed to attend. Men were the first-class citizens in ancient Greece, with women, slaves, and children considered inferior. There aren't many exceptions to these rules, even in the mythology. As Johann Flemberg said, the world of the gods always to a significant degree reflects the society that shaped it. Therefore, it is odd to come across someone who defies these rules. One of the few well-known exceptions is the goddess Athena. She is the goddess of weaving, crafts, war, and wisdom, which in itself is quite odd as women were often viewed as irrational, and wisdom was associated with men. War was also a male domain, with women seen as too fragile to be involved, but also as a potential distraction for the men. Her existence as a goddess of war is paradoxical, as women were generally seen as calm and not violent or involved in war. Oddly enough, though, women were often the cause of war, like Helen of Troy. Athena, on the other hand, often resolved conflicts, being a goddess of reason and logic, and, as a virgin goddess, she could not be sexualized or viewed as a distraction. Violence, in Greek mythology, is mostly caused by men. Athena, however, is a very violent goddess. Unlike Ares, though, she is not violent without a reason. She tends to be very vengeful, as seen in her reactions with Arachne, who she turned into a spider to punish her for her pride, and with Medusa, who she turned into a gorgon for having sex in her temple. She's always closely involved in war action, and always depicted in armor, and often with Aegis, her shield with Medusa's head mounted on it, and her spear. In the Battle of the Gods, she smites Ares, the god of war, and claims that she is mightier than him. Athena, in general, is mainly associated with men and male roles. She was born not of her mother, but sprung from the forehead of her father, already in full armor. She usually acts as an advisor to men and spurs them into action. She even dresses and acts like a man. In the Odyssey, she appears in disguise 8 times, 6 men and 2 women, and in the Iliad 5 times, all men. Her status as a virgin is central to her involvement in war. As she is one of the virgin goddesses, along with Artemis and Hestia, she could not be sexualized. The idea of being a virgin in the ancient times actually gave an image of power and strength. While male power was often associated with sexual prowess, female power was seen as the ability to resist. All in all, war was a major aspect of Athena's image and, despite being the creation of a male-dominated society, she clings strongly to that part of her. Athena, goddess of war, wisdom, weaving and crafts, is more interesting and diverse than it first appears. She was violent and intelligent and powerful, and, what's more, she did it over 2,000 years ago.